I dislike this character so much. So every once in a while, she'll like drop these little murder hints. And then you go back to like book one, and it's just like Mr. X in his martial arts studio. Whiplash. God, Fury's so boring. Treason, who? You know what I mean? He is a drug addict. Why is John Matthew everywhere? Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. And his drug addiction. Fury really is the Lucy LaDuca of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. The Black Dagger Brotherhood, J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood is one of my favorite series of all time. I love it so much. So good. Love it so much. And there is a show coming out on Passion Flix on June 5th. Literally, I'm graduating in 2 days and I'm more excited for the show. I'm so excited. Literally, I have like a countdown with my mom. She gets a message from me every like 2 weeks or so, and it's like the Black Dagger Brotherhood TV show is coming out in 43 days or something. And I just love it so much. Anyway, in honor of that, I please excuse the cars outside if you can hear them. New Jersey, just like the drivers here are wonderful. Wow. Anyway, I wanted to do this kind of challenge where I try to see how many of the Black Dagger Brotherhood books I can read before like the show comes out. But then I was like, that's too many books. I think I would get really tired of like reading this series back to back to back to back. So I'm giving myself till May 20th. That's 9 days from now. Reason is arbitrary. There is simply no reason. May 20th seems like a nice date. Like it's just a nice date. I don't even know what day of the week that is, but it sounds like a nice date. I'm giving myself till the end of the day to do this challenge. But what is this? I just said I wasn't going to read the books in order, but a few weeks ago, I was like, what if I read them out of order? What if I read them at random? What if I let fate decide which books I'm going to read? So I have up till, for the two people that are watching this video who like know what I'm talking about, um, there are a lot of books in this series. There are a lot of novellas, there are spin-off books, there are vroom vroom, there are so many books. I am up to date. I did read The Beloved, I believe, was the one that came out. I don't even remember when it came out. Was it almost a year ago? Whatever it was, I read it. No, it was the winter book. Oh, Bloom in Winter. Yes, I did read that. The next one, Lover Forbidden or whatever, comes out in September, I think. It's ahead of me. I am going to be reading them at what in whatever order fate decides. If you will look at my wheel though, you will quickly see that not all of the books are on there. I excluded any spin-off books. I excluded all of the novellas except for Father Mine because I liked that one. And what else? I also didn't do book, it's like 20 and on. I stopped at Lover Unveiled because I don't want to read the more recent ones. Lover Unveiled came out a while ago, so like I don't remember much of what happened, but the more recent books, I just don't want to read them again. Um, Simply put. So, I guess we should spin the wheel. Like I said, I'm graduating in 2 days. This is my apartment. I do have two Black Dagger Brotherhood books with me here. I'll give you 2 seconds to guess which ones they are. Book one and two. It would be nice to read these ones. And it'd be also really nice if I do have access to, if I spin one and it doesn't, I don't have access to it. That would suck. I think I can get all of them. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I also will be giving myself one veto because there is one book in particular that I'm thinking about that it almost made me DNF the series back when I read it, but who knows? I'm gonna give it a try, but if I don't like it, I will be putting it down and skipping it. There we go. I think I've rambled enough. I don't know how much of like a video you'll see, but I will keep you updated. I don't know how many of these that I will read, but we'll see. Oh my god. Okay. So, um, I recorded it, so you should see it, but it was The Shadows. Damn. I was really hoping I would not get that one. It's not the one that I don't want to read, but like, let me see if I have access to this. Let me see if I can grab it. I do own many of the physical books back home, so that should be easier once I get home to like read them. Okay, so I'm gonna pretend you don't know what I'm talking about. We have it. Um, The Shadows is book 13, I think, of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. It is also the one that made me cry the hardest. If I can insert photos here, like I took pictures of myself crying to this book because I was like, this is horrible. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can see like on Libby, but it says 1133. I do remember this one being also a little bit longer. So we're gonna start with that. I feel like a small part of me knew that this was coming too. Okay, well, I'm gonna get started. We'll see if you get an update. If not, live, laugh, love, I guess. It's pronounced core. I thought it was score. This might have been the worst start to anything ever. Genuinely, this is so hard to get through. I don't know if you can see that. I'm about 60% of the way through, and it's been 3 days since I started this. I severely overestimated how much time I would have to complete this in the last few days. I was very busy. And now I'm like, this is so hard to read because it's just so sad. Like, I don't need this right now. It does not usually take me this long to get through a Black Dagger book, but this one is just so sad. My goal is to finish it today so that I can spin the wheel and start something else. I also realized upon coming home that I forgot to put Darius on the wheel, but I don't think I can mentally do that, so it's okay. My past self was looking out for me. The quality is about to be horrible. I finished The Shadows. I'll talk about it later. It's time to spin. I just hope it's like not sad. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, we are cooking. So this is gonna be my first time reading Dark Lover. I think I'll be able to get through it pretty quickly, just because I've read it so many times. So we'll see. We might be starting another book by the end of the day. Mother. It's 9:30. I finished Dark Lover. You'll get a review later. I'm so tired. I'm gonna pick my next book, maybe get started after I get ready for bed. But then it's sleepy time. I'm so tired. I am a little bit nervous about this next one though. I I have a bad feeling. So okay. Can't see it. Lover Unleashed. That feels random. It could be a lot worse though. It could be a lot worse. So I decided that I'd like to make a very small update for this. As of right now, I've completed 2 books. Ignore the mess. I just moved back. I finished The Shadows and Dark Lover. It's currently about 5 o'clock on May 15th. I feel weird talking on my phone, but this is a little bit easier. Anyway, The Shadows. The Shadows was an interesting place to start for this adventure. It took me about 4 days to finish. It's pretty long, about 600 pages, but as I think I mentioned in one of the clips, I severely underestimated how busy I was going to be. And I think the fact that I was graduating and leaving an institution that I had been a part of for about 4 years was making me a little bit emotional. Then adding like the shadows on top of that, even more emotional. There would be times when I would pick this book up and I would just not want to continue because I was so sad. I remember when I first read the Black Dagger Brotherhood books, I was kind of only focused on like the main couple. This one primarily followed Trez and Selena. I wasn't really interested in like the little side quests going on, like I am and Machen and Rage and Assail. But then when I read this again randomly, I was strangely interested in a lot of these storylines, which was a little bit shocking. I was even chilling with Assail's perspective about him, like, and his drug addiction, I guess. This book, like I said, follows Selena, who is a chosen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you don't know what the Black Dagger Brotherhood is, interesting place to be. But the chosen are like basically this group of women who have to give their blood to like members of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. There's more to that. It's complicated, but I think that's all you kind of need to know. And then there's Trez, who is the anointed one of the shadows. Basically, he's betrothed to the princess of the shadows. He escaped one day, and now they're back to get him. And then we have Selena, who has this thing called the arrest, which is this fatal disease that only affects the chosen. Basically, like their bones and muscles like lock up and they can't move, but you're like aware of everything going on around you. This book still made me cry. Don't think I cried as much this time around that I did the first time. The tears were coming down. I also do think I had a little bit of a deeper appreciation for this world that Ward has created. I didn't remember that much of the Shadows culture because I am and Trez are kind of the only 2 shadows that we follow. Even though I think this was like genuinely the worst place to start in this adventure, did end on a positive note because I was interested in what was going on, which had not previously been the case. Then, as you may have seen from the absolute joy, was picking up Dark Lover, the book that started it all. I love this book. I think I mentioned this already, but this was my 4th time reading it. I don't know if anyone else who rereads books frequently understands this, but once you've reread a book 3, 4, 5 times, you start zooming through the books like they're nothing. Like this book was like just under 400 pages, and I think I read it in under 4 hours, which is very fast, even for me. I was zooming through this. Like it got to the point where I was like, I already know this information. So the words were just going by faster. I just love this book. I think this is the one that I've read the most. Beth is just such a strong FMC. I think if she had been written now, she would be a lot different. But even for like contextually of the time that it was that this book was written, very ahead of her time. Such a baddie. I'm obsessed with her. I love Marissa. I'm not gonna apologize for that. Don't know if I'm the leader of the Marissa fan club, but I would like to nominate myself as a position of power. I've mentioned this somewhere before, but Ward could have easily created a nasty relationship between Marissa and Beth, but she didn't. There's literally one scene where Marissa kind of looks at Beth funny, and that's it. I love Marissa. Like, Team Marissa, I think she's my favorite character in the whole universe. If that takes away some of my credibility, so be it. I'm obsessed with her. But I do truly appreciate Ward for not making Marissa a jealous character. I don't think I would have continued the book, honestly. That's probably a lie, but it would have thrown me off a little bit. If you are completely unaware of what this the book is about, again, weird place to start. Weird place to find that information out. So this one follows Beth, who is about to go through her transition, which in this world, vampires at the age of 25, you are kind of just like humany. You're just like a human, but like you're not a human. But then at 25, you go through the transition that turns you into a vampire. And since Beth is half vampire, half human, and she doesn't even know about the vampire half yet, she basically just needs someone who is very vampire-y, which brings in Rat, who is the last purebred of vampire, not a drop of human blood in his system. He's also the vampire king who refuses to ascend the throne. Darius, however you want to call him, it basically just begs Wrath to be the one who helps Beth through her transition. And iconically, in the first few chapters of the book, Wrath says no, and then Darius dies. Iconic. Then Wrath is like, okay, now I have to. I kind of have to. Reading this after the shadows was an, an experience, I'll say, because I kind of got to see pretty instantly the way the Brotherhood has changed over the years and the books that occurred between the two. The Shadows had a lot more of a complex plot scheme going on. There were more threats. There's the whole Band of Bastards arc going on. You've got Assail and his cousins running around. You've got the Four Lesser with his really powerful guns doing things. Lots of threats. There is tension. And then, like, that happens. And then you go back to, like, book one, and it's just, like, Mr. X in his martial arts studio. Whiplash. Straight up whiplash. I'm on to Lover Unleashed right now, which is book 9. This one follows Manuel Manny Manello MD and Pain. 40% of the way through. I am hoping to finish it tonight, but who knows? Who knows? I think the fact that I have 5 days left throws me off a little bit because it took me so long to get through the shadows, but we're here. We're here. We're here. I want one swing at Vicious. One. One swing. Give me one swing, please. I'm 85% of the way through Lover Unleashed. I'm hoping to finish it within the next like hour and a half. The ending of this book, I love it so much. Hello. It's an exciting day. I just finished Lover Unleashed, and I'll talk about that some other time because that's not what's important right now. I go on my Instagram and I see that the trailer for the Black Dagger Brotherhood dropped. And I will be watching that right now before I spin the wheel to see what the next book is. I don't care about that right now. This is the most important thing. And so, live reaction because that went so well last time. Which is so fine. The Boston accent is so funny.
I being an influential.
Why do I feel like I'm watching like the entire show right now? Mr. X is so funny.
Love of my life, the love of my life, Marissa, the love of my life.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Life has purpose, life has meaning. 20 days, 20 days. To show this to my mom immediately. To send this to my mom. Anyway, let's. I guess we could figure out what the next book is now. I have a bad feeling about this one, not gonna lie. There are a few books that I don't want to read. There are a few books that I do want to read, though. And there are some that I just really don't care about. So. Yes, 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 yes. No, 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 no. Yes, yes. I wanted to read Lover Eternal so bad. let's, let's. It's a good day. It's a good day. It's a good day. I'm gonna go read. Actually, I'm gonna go show my mom this trailer and then I'm gonna go read. Please and thank you. Bye. Oh, jeez. Yeah, so this is where we're at right now. I have 10 books that I need to get here. My collection thus far. This looks like something. Uh, I'm about halfway through Lover Eternal. The color of this, like even on camera, it doesn't do it justice. Like I think this blue is like the prettiest thing in the world. Halfway through. It's about 8 o'clock. I don't think I'll finish it tonight, but I'm gonna try my hardest so that I can maybe pick another book. I have in my mind a goal of 7 books. Once I'm done with this, we're at 4. So we'll see. We'll see. It's past 10 o'clock. Just finished. It's 8:30 at night. I am about 40% of the way through The Savior. I'm getting through it kind of quickly. I am not going to finish it tonight. I need to go to sleep sometime in the next few hours. And I am a fast reader, but not that fast. I'll definitely finish it tomorrow, though. I have a lot of thoughts, though. Something about this one just slaps. You know what I mean? Part of me feels like that's said no one ever statement, but like something about The Savior just like I needed this. I have thoughts, but I can't put them together right now. We are vampire. Okay, it's the next morning. I'm about 70% of the way through The Savior. My plan is to finish it in the next like 2 hours before noon. I'd like to one, finish The Savior, and then two, obviously pick the next one, and then three, I don't know why I'm counting, get maybe halfway through whatever the book is. Some of the books are lengthy. I don't know if you can like see them over there. They're like, as much as I love Revenge, I love him so much. His book is like too long. So I'm throwing that out there. If my phone, if you're listening to me, like, please do me good. Father Mine, any of the earlier books are perfectly fine. Thank you. It is 5 minutes to noon right now, and I have in fact finished The Savior. Iconic. I'll talk about it later. It's time to pick book 6 of this. I'm hoping to get, depending on what the book is, I'm hoping to get halfway through it today. I still want to read 7. 7 is like my goal right now in my mind. I think I can do 7. As for the next book, I'm just gonna keep my lips sealed. I feel like I've had some good luck so far. Let's see what it is, I guess. I kind of like don't even want to look. Okay, interesting. Well, looks like we'll be reading The Sinner. So I went from 17 to 18. So we have a little bit of a problem here. I cannot access The Sinner right now. I was going to check it out from my library and I don't have it. I don't have a physical copy of it. I don't own it. So I have to use my veto on this. That's horrible. Don't you just hate when you do a challenge where you spin a wheel and the next book you read is random and you check everywhere to see if you actually have the book? You actually don't have the book, so you have to spin the wheel again. You can't read the book and you really wanted to read the book, and then you go on Kindle Unlimited a week and a half later and it's on Kindle Unlimited, and now you can't read the book because the challenge is over and you're almost done with the video, almost done editing the video. Don't you just hate when that happens? I know the next book is gonna be. I know it. I don't want. It's gonna. That's even worse. It says Lover Enshrined. This is just horrible. This is just horrible. So I guess there are some positives to this. I own it, which is great. God, Fury is so boring. Okay, let's look at the bright side here. This one is one of the shorter ones. It's still over 500 pages, but it's shorter. I think we get some revenge POVs also. God. I don't know. This was a potential veto for me also, but I guess since I can't do that, here we are. I'll probably get started on this later today. I don't care about Fury. I feel like a lot of the books I've actually like I go back to and I read some of them just for like funsies, but I don't think I've touched Lover Enshrined in 4 years. So, this can be interesting. This could be interesting. It is the next morning. I did not read that much of Lover and Shrine yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I chose to watch 2 movies over this book, which is saying something because I don't normally watch movies. I am the green was the goal yesterday. The black is what I got to. I have a lot of reasons as to why this is such a struggle to get through, but I'll probably talk about that later. It'd be nice to finish it today. I don't think I'm going to, but I'm gonna try. I think the only saving grace is that Revenge gets a storyline in here. Like, I eat that up. Fury, though, yawn. So, it's May 19th, around 4:30. I look like I look, Ignore this. Ignore this. I am just gonna talk about Lover Enshrined a little bit. I'm about 20% of the way through, so not that much further than what I showed you in the last clip. And I am really struggling with this one. What about this book specifically and about Fury just doesn't do it for me? And so I spent probably a good hour just like thinking. And the epiphany came to me in terms of like a drag race lens, right? So very specific. But you know that one episode of Drag Race, I think it's in season 16 or season 15, I don't know, where Lux Noir London is asked the question like who should go home tonight and why. She goes down the line and explains why every single person deserves to be there except for Lucy LaDuca. She's like, Lucy LaDuca is boring, basically, and she should go home tonight. And that's how I feel about Fury. Like every other character, every other like core Black Dagger Brotherhood character who was like there at the beginning, even Butch has like some interesting aspect of them as a character. Like you have Wrath, who is the blind king who refuses to ascend the throne. You have Rage, who is this like playboy hot dude who basically has a dragon inside of him. And then you have Zadist, who is, in my opinion, the most interesting character ever, with just his personality and the exploration of like trauma in men. Very fascinating. And then even Butch, who later becomes a brother, but is finding his place after like feeling like he doesn't belong in the human world and like finding a family, you know? And then even Vicious, who finds out that he's like the son of the race's deity. Like, that's interesting. And then you have Fury, who is a drug addict. And that's it. Fury really is the Lucy LaDuca of the Black Dagger Brotherhood. I've thought about this before, though, but Fury as a character, if he was in any other book series, he would be a perfectly fine character. I think it's just the fact that he is basically like put up against a bunch of powerhouse characters. Of course, he's not interesting. I think, there is something there. Like, it's not like he's just a drug addict, but he is in love with his brother's wife, Shellen, whatever, and he is a drug addict. Of the me not liking him is partially my fault. Like I have my preferences. But it's just like you have all these like interesting characters, these interesting stories, and then it's just Fury being a drug addict. I think, if I had read this series like years later, like if I had read it now, I think my opinion of Fury would be a little bit different, but it's not, I didn't. I read these 4 years ago. And so like he's just a nice guy, you know? But I don't read paranormal romance, dark romance books to read about nice guys. Like I give me the tension, give me the drama. There is intrigue there, of him overcoming addiction, feeling the need to partake in drugs. Like, I think there is something there, but it's not enough. It's not enough. He just needs that extra oomph. Like it feels like there is something missing. Very Lucy LaDuca. As much as I am like hating on him right now, I do think he is kind of a necessary character because you need that balance. And it is nice to like see a nice character, a character that is nice, just pop in every once in a while, but it's like it's very not interesting to read about. And I am liking Cormia's perspective a lot more than I did when I first read it. I think her um relationship with, being a chosen and basically not having an identity and then like coming to the real world and then discovering who you are and discovering your interests and realizing that like it's okay to be unique, like it's okay to be a fully individualized person. The conversations about the chosen basically just existing in this world for the benefit of men, like it's interesting stuff and I appreciate that this time around. Fury though is getting on my last nerve. Like now he's like just torturing these lessers and it's like I get it, like I get it, but we've seen this before. I'm gonna go um read, I guess. I guess I'm gonna go read. Not like this, not like this. I am Sonic the Hedgehog, by the way, in case you could not tell. I gotta go fast though, it's almost 5 o'clock. This challenge ends tomorrow and I still have 400 pages of Lover and Shrine to finish. I think even if I don't finish, well, okay, depending on what the next book is, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna aim for 7 still. And if tomorrow I don't finish a 7th book, maybe I'll keep going until I reach 7. Maybe. Uh, I need to go eat though. Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. I left and then I came back, and so I know I said that I was only gonna give myself one DNF. I know I said that. But genuinely the thought of picking Lover and Shrine back up makes me never want to read a book ever again in my life. I do not want to read this book. Like I can't. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do this anymore. And the fact that it's Lover and Shrine just makes it worse. And so I'm gonna spin it again, and this is gonna be it. I just like simply cannot get behind Lover and Shrine right now. Like I want to keep my face like this so that I don't have to read it. And I know like challenges and all that, like this is supposed to be a challenge, but I also just want it to be fun. I'm gonna do what's best for me right now, and that is to not read this book. So we're gonna spin it again, pray to the Lord our God that it's a, and go from there. Because I remember that I have free will, and we're cooking, guys. We're cooking here. We just got Lover revealed. That was the correct decision. That was the correct decision. Now we're on to Butch and Marissa's book. Marissa is my favorite character in the Black Dagger Brotherhood book series, universe, whatever. If you hate her, please get away from me. Thank you. I'm gonna go read. I'm gonna have fun reading now. And I'm gonna put Lover and Shrine back on my shelf. Maybe some other day I'll pick it up again and continue where I left off, but not today. I love when women support other women. You saw the absolute disaster that was Picking the Sinners,
Sinners?
book 18, and then trying to read Lover Enshrined, book 6, and getting about 100 pages in and realizing that I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. So now I'm on Lover Revealed. It's currently about 10 a.m. So I realized that I didn't do like another update after Unleashed, I think. Lover Unleashed. Finished Lover Unleashed, obviously. You should have seen that. And this one was a lot more enjoyable this time around. Like the scene in Lover Unleashed when Core Score? I pronounced it Score, but apparently it's Core. About Core finding out that he's not the biological son of the Bloodletter and just letting pain go. Something about that amuses me to no end. Anyway, I don't really have that much to say about Lover Unleashed. Like, it gets the job done, you know, it's a bridge between book 8 and book 10. We meet the Band of Bastards. I used to not really care about the Band of Bastards that much. They were kind of like a whatever for me, but I was more invested in their story this time around. Also, we hear a little bit more about Robert Bluff, who is just I want a book about Robert Bluff. I I hope Lover Forbidden is about Robert Bluff. I like genuinely I hope that this guy is Robert Bluff. And that would be so funny to me. Like Robert Bluff is just if you don't know what the Black Dagger Brotherhood is, I think I've said this before, but like welcome. um Robert Bluff is just this character that pops up here and there. He is the father of like 3 of them. 3 characters. I think it's Butch Manny and Joe Early. He shows up in Darius also. I want to know more about him, you know. He's dead allegedly. Savage was dead, you know, allegedly, and he was fine. Anyway, so moving on from book 9 to book 2, Lover Eternal is an underrated bomb. Maybe I'm reading the room wrong, but I feel like people don't give Lover Eternal the respect that it deserves. When I first read the first 4 books in this series, I definitely cared about Lover Eternal the least. It's literally sandwiched between 2 powerhouse books. Dark Lover is a phenomenal start to a paranormal romance, and Lover Awakened is just one of the best books in the paranormal romance genre that I've ever read. And then you have Lover Eternal right in the middle there. I think the problem lies in the fact that Lover Eternal kind of doesn't meet the expectations that are set in Dark Lover, and it's very tonally different. Rage is this playboy hot dude, and that kind of seems like it's his only character trait. And then Mary is a human that is dying. Lots of this book is tinged in sadness and grief for things that haven't happened yet, especially when these characters realize the things that they can't have. Of the original 6 brothers, like Rage is low key such a sweetheart. I I think of the 6, the original 6, he is one of my favorites. I can understand why this one kind of goes under the radar. You have to read this book to get to Lover Awakened, which is book 3. And you can't have Lover Awakened without Lover Eternal. I love this book. I don't think you I love this book. I think this is one of those books though that you respect more so in hindsight. And this is also like so many important characters are introduced here. John Matthew, I'm going to talk about this later, but I swear to God he's been in every single book that I've read. He's had like a POV in every single book that I've read, except for maybe like Lover Unleashed and The Shadows. Then we have The Savior, which is book 17. So we jumped from it was 13 to 1 to 9 to 2 to 17. And reading Lover Eternal before this was kind of perfect. Murder is murder, yes, murder. Murder is a character that Jared Ward had been talking about for a while. He shows up in someone's mind every other book, I feel like. If memory serves, which my memory is not that reliable, he is first mentioned in book 5, which is Lover Unbound. So every once in a while she'll like drop these little murder hints. I'm not saying like murder, and it's like, put some respect on my man's name, you know? I have a deep appreciation for the Savior, though. There's a lot more focus on the brotherhood in general, about who belongs and who doesn't, wanting to belong, and knowing that you don't. I love that internal tension, you know what I mean, amongst the brothers, and how Torment views John as his son, and John's about to die. He wants to be a part of this brotherhood that he is technically not a part of yet. Going back to how I said this was perfect, Lover Eternal is when John Matthew was first introduced, and then 15 books later, he's being inducted into the brotherhood. Wild how that works. I think my only issue with this one, even I think I had this problem when I read it the first time all those years ago, but even reading it now, I just wish Murder and Sarah had had more time to develop a relationship, because it was very rushed. I know the same could be said about a lot of the books in this series, but this one in particular, I was like, damn, we're just it's they've known each other for 2 hours. Come on, come on. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen more of a relationship between them on the final day that I'm doing this. And I'm so close to being done with Lover Revealed. I love this book, and I'm kind of hoping that Lover Awakened is the final book. I want to read one more. I think I can do one more, but it really depends on what it is. Because if it's one of the earlier books, if I get Lover Awakened or Lover Unbound, I think I should be fine, because those are about 400, 500 pages. But some of those books, Father Mine is on there. Father Mine is like a 100-page novella. So if we get that, we're good. We're good. But I think, given the fact that this will be my last book, I am going to give myself a little bit of leeway. And I know I'm supposed to allow fate to decide, but I think I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands, because there are some books that I simply will not read. And hopefully we don't have to get to that. Yeah, that's where we're at. 14 hours left. I've got about 80 pages of Lover Revealed left. I should finish that in the next hour. And then we'll pick our last book, and then we'll be free. I think it's been an hour since I last did an update. I finished Lover Revealed. So good. I love this book. I love this book. And now we're on to hopefully the final book of this. Like I said, I will be giving myself a little bit of leeway if I don't want to read it. Um, I have, it looks like 14 books left to choose from. Manifesting Father Mine. Okay. um, it was Lover at Last, and I can't. I simply cannot. So we're gonna go again, and not read it. So I realized a little while ago that I never quite explained why I made the decision to not read Lover at Last. And I was kind of gonna not talk about it, but I feel like it is kind of relevant. Here's my explanation. There are certain characters in the Black Dagger Brotherhood that I don't like. I feel like everyone has, a character or two, maybe three, that they just are I can't, I can't get behind them. You know, maybe they do something that's inexcusable, and then you're just wow, I can't get behind this character anymore. Or maybe you just never liked them from the beginning. I have a few, if you can't tell. And Quinn is one of them. I dislike him so much. I dislike this character so much. I feel like the way that he treats Blay is horrible. I feel like the way that he treats Layla is disgusting. And like before anyone comes here and is like, well, in the Chosen, she like technically committed treason. She was holding a child. Okay, she was holding a child and he shot at her. So like treason, who? You know what I mean? It was kind of like Fury 2.0. I was like, I knew that if I tried to read this, it just would not go well for me. You know, I love Blay. I think Blay deserves a little bit better than Quinn, and I just knew that I could not subject myself to that. I think I would dislike Lover at Last more than I did the first time I read it. I think the first time I read it, I didn't really care, but I think I would like actively hate it. So I'm so sorry if that is like your book, if that is like your favorite one. I'm so sorry if Blay and Quinn are like your favorite characters or something. Like, just they're not mine. You know. That was my explanation. I I hope it's good enough. Uh, TLDR, I just don't like Quinn. You know, justice for Saxton. Saxton deserves better. See, part of me is like, I should have my space to be able to talk about how much I hate Quinn and how much I hate a character. I'm allowed to have my opinion and I'm allowed to not vibe with the character. But another part of me is like, I have absolutely no room to talk when like Revenge is my favorite character. Like, I have no room to talk. You know what I mean? Like, part of me is like, I can hate Quinn all I want and like talk about it. But the other part of me is like, you know? And so I feel like it's a matter of like personality and how characters react to certain situations. Revenge, you know, but like Quinn, like he just says something and I'm like, shut up. Interesting. Okay. I can do that. I can do that. Our last book is going to be Lover Unbound, which is book 5. Lover Unbound is Vicious's book. Vicious, Vicious and Jane. I guess I'm just gonna go get started. Anyway, last book. Hello. Let me in, please. It's about 4 o'clock right now. I am this much through Lover Unbound. I'm getting towards the 40% mark, I think, if I had to guess. If my math is mathing. I am gonna give myself till I think 8 o'clock to finish this book. If I don't finish it by 8 o'clock, I don't finish it by 8 o'clock. I'll probably finish it up tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna wrap everything up tonight at around 8 o'clock. It's Lover Unbound is a book. I kind of wish I was ending on something that was a little bit more entertaining for me, but I don't really care that much for Vicious's story. Like it's definitely a necessary story in this series, but we'll see. If I finish it, I finish it. If I don't, I don't. It is the following day. It is May 21st. No longer reading the Black Dagger Brotherhood books. It is a little bit freeing, but last night, as I was like laying down, like getting ready to go to sleep, I was like, man, I wish I was reading another Black Dagger Brotherhood book right now. I've just been conditioned or whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about the last 2 books that I read, and then my concluding thoughts. So I think that's a good way to finish this up. I started this in my college apartment wearing this hoodie, and I'm finishing it up back home in the same hoodie. Some things are just the same. Lover Revealed. I love this book. I've talked about Marissa before on my blog, specifically like in relation to the show that's coming out. So check that out. I have a lot of memes on there. I like to make memes apparently. I think I just rambled for 6 minutes. Then we have Lover Unbound. I'm not going to talk as much about Lover Unbound. I'm so sorry if you were interested in that. But as you saw, Lover at Last popped up. But I knew in my heart of hearts that I would not have gotten through it. I forgot how much actually like goes on in Lover Unbound. Like there's a lot of tension. Vicious finding out that he's the son of a deity gets me every single time. Every single time. I will say though, maybe it's because I find Fury so boring, but I struggled a little bit with this one. I finished this book at around 9 o'clock last night, and I wasn't really interested in any of the storylines, which made it difficult. And I'm not gonna lie, I was skimming a little bit towards the end. Uh, those Fury and Cormia chapters were dreadful. I am so sorry if you're a fan of Fury or Cormia. I can understand the appeal. I could go into Cormia being a chosen and virtually having no identity or anything, but I don't want to. Her story kind of parallels Marissa a little bit, and reading that back to back was just kind of like, this is sad, you know? But yeah, like I said, I'm so sorry to anyone who is a fan of Fury or Cormia that is watching this. Um, Imagine me saying this in the old language that I mean no offense, truly. And I think I didn't like, um, I think even when I read it back in 2021, when I read Lover Unbound for the first time, I didn't like it as much as the first four. And I think the reason that I didn't like Lover Unbound as much is because with the other characters in the book, and even with some of the later books that I really love, there is some form of build up for the characters. With Revenge, we get him, talking about how although he like disguises it, he wants to be in a relationship with someone. And I think the problem is with Vicious in this book because he is presented as such an independent character that I don't like associate him with being someone in a relationship, which is a me problem for sure. Like, I'm not saying that everyone in a relationship is dependent on their partner, but like, Vicious just exists so solely by himself that it's hard for me to like attach another character to him. You know what I mean? Like, Doc Jane is an important character in this series, and she is necessary for every single book that follows, but it just like, this one feels a little bit out of place. Concluding thoughts. I What did I learn from this? What did I gain from this experience? Reading a book series out of order, even one that I had read before, is a choice that I don't know if I would make again. Like, this was a fun time, spinning the wheel, getting to veto certain books was a fun time, you know what I mean? But there were several times where I got confused with like minor details in the story. The overarching plot and all that I'm fine with. I know that. I know which book is follows which characters, but there were a few times where I was like, wait a minute, I thought we knew that already. But it was because I had read a book from the future. There's like one scene where it's explained that John Matthew has Darius's journal and he hasn't read it yet. And whatever, simple detail. I don't even remember what book that was in. But then I think I read Lover Unbound and he's acquiring the journal. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought he had the journal already. Because I think mentally I thought he got it in Lover Revealed. Very like small stuff like that that did trip me up a little bit. I don't know if it was the luck of the draw with this one also, but John Matthew and his perspective appeared so many times. I don't remember this being the case when I read the series last. I remember Vicious pops up every other chapter, but John Matthew was like he was in Lover Eternal, he was in Lover Revealed, he was in Lover Unbound, he was in The Savior, and I read it 2 to 17 to 4 whatever. That's wrong. That is so wrong. But I kept going, like I kept reading them and I was like, why is John Matthew everywhere? I think Vicious was the one that popped up the most, though, which is not a surprise. Lastly, reading this book, out of order, or just like reading this book again and being in this world, I forgot how many of the characters were originally with or interested in other characters. Like Butch and Zex. I forgot about that. John and Layla. I bet you forgot about that. Revenge and Marissa. Manny Manillo and Jane. I literally should make a chart because I was thinking about it. I was like,
Beth was with Marissa, but then he got with Beth, and Butch was interested in Beth. And then Butch ended up with Marissa, but then Vicious was interested in Butch, but then Butch ended up with
how? That's the video. I hope if you've made it this far, you've at the very least gained something positive from this. I read 7 books in this adventure here. I've got 4 here. I also have The Shadows, which was the first book, if you remember. DNF'd, Lover Enshrined, got about 100 pages in. And then also read The Savior and Lover Unleashed, which I don't own. The total number of pages that I read, along with the 100 or so pages that I read of Lover Enshrined, was 3,540 pages. The order, in case you were wondering, was I went from 13 to 1 to book 9 to 2 to 17 to not being able to read book 18, DNFing book 6, and reading book 4, and then book 5. That was the order. Remember to live, laugh, love, guys. I am live, laugh, loving right now, knowing that the Black Dagger Brotherhood TV show is coming out soon. I am so excited for the show. Think about it every day. And I hope that if you are interested in this series or want to watch it, that you watch it also, because I think it's going to be a good time. Just remember to live, laugh, love. Yes, remember to live, laugh, love.